Bill here. Today is Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. Well, we've had another sale week for the metals, with all the metals down a little bit for the week. But even so, we have gold up 5% year to date. So even though some people are trying to earn 5% if they can find a money market or a CD at 5% for a year, gold owners have already made 5% for the year. And I believe that this pullback we've had, the sale for the last couple weeks, is a temporary phenomenon for the precious metals. So it would be a really good time to try to increase your holdings if you're able to. I know we just recently purchased some more precious metals, and be a good time to add if you can. Want to talk about investing in precious metals and why now is a good time to consider that. And one of the reasons is inflation. The inflation picture that we have coming out of the Cleveland Federal Reserve. You know, there are 12 districts for the Federal Reserve, and the Cleveland district recently issued their estimates and information about the CPI. And even though it's been coming down for several months, now it's beginning to go back up. So in June they had a CPI of 3%. July looks like 3.4%. So it's increased over 10% since June. And they're also expecting August numbers to come in about 4.1%. So we're seeing a rise in the increase in inflation. And one of the reasons that we consider that when we look at precious metals is, you know, with the decreasing inflation numbers beginning to turn around and head back up, that's typically a good time to add to your precious metals holdings. And one of the reasons for this inflation, I believe, is we have rising oil prices again. And you may recall over the last year and a half, the administration has been releasing oil out of our Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And it's now down to the point that we only have 16 days worth of petroleum in reserve. You know, that's just a little over 2 weeks. Normally it's good to have at least 2 months. So we're in a deficit there in our petroleum reserve, and currently the demand for oil is exceeding the supplies of oil. And so we'll talk more about that. We'll write more about it in a longer article and what that has to do with precious metals and inflation. But let's face it, when energy is rising, that increases inflation in every sector of the economy. And it also increases it in precious metals, because energy is an important component of precious metals mining, refining, and production. And so this is an area that when we see the price of oil coming up, it acts as a floor. It helps put a floor under precious metals prices. And because there's a cost of production, and that turns out to be an approximate floor for the prices of precious metals. So as we see this continue to rise, at the same time we see massive job layoffs being announced. Yellow, freight carrier of over 100 years of history, just declared bankruptcy, 22,000 employees looking for work. There's a lot of other companies, not to that number, but there's several of them, and they all add up to indicate that there's trouble on the labor market. There's continuing increased costs, and this is exactly the environment that you want to be an owner of precious metals. So we'll talk more about this in the future. Thank you for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day.